So we were, I'd say pretty much shocked with Brian Flores' firing yesterday when the news broke. Adam Schefter break. I mean,
I think a lot of people around the NFL and professional sports in general was kind of like, what?
Considering what he did with that team over his 3 years, I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's what I want to get to. Let's leave the fact that just for a second, we'll get to it. The now 2 African American coaches, head coaches in a league that is predominantly African American. We can get to that in a second. Just look at the job that Brian Flores did. He took over a terrible team from Adam Gase, right? Do you understand when he first got that team, they went 0-4, but were outscored in those first 4 games 163-26. And we were asking on TV, is this the worst team of all time? They wound up going 0-7.
Max, in his first year, guess who led them in rushing yards?
Who?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right. But the point is they go 0-7. They go 0-7, but they win 5 of their last 9 games. The team never quit. And the very next year, they win 10 games. And they followed up this year after a bad start by winning 7 of their last 8. He got fired.
But that's why when he got fired yesterday, the first thing I said is it smells like dead fish. Something bad is
something rotten.
It's something nice and rotten going on. Some finger pointing, I got change your status. It was just, it didn't smell right because you don't get rid of a young, promising, up-and-coming head coach that has your organization and team trending in the right direction. You just don't. So I knew right then and there, I was like, it's a little bit of a disagreement with somebody.
It gives a sign that, okay, the Dolphins are probably going to stay with Tua. Like Tua is going to be something that they're going to build off of, considering they were willing to let Brian Flores go when he's in the pocket for Deshaun Watson. And it does make me look at the Houston situation with intrigue now, because obviously knowing the relationship between Brian Flores and Deshaun Watson, and then seeing that situation with David Culley there in Houston, is that a potential target for Brian Flores now that can keep Deshaun Watson in Houston?
Oh, no. No,
by the way, if you're the ownership of the Texans, you're sitting there saying, hey, if I'm trying to mend this relationship, could this be the first kind of,
that relationship is
okay. I'm just saying
that thing is way
it's
gone.
not bad to think that, even if it is way gone.
I did have that thought. First, I was like, hey, is that possible to keep them in Texas if they get Flores?
No, that relationship, the relationship with Deshaun and the Texans organization is just,
and
the city, the whole, is just, that thing is completely gone.
You talked about how fraught it would be if they even looked at Deshaun Watson. You took us through the whole thing, Key. First, Stephen Ross. It's his wife and kids, the whole family.
Yeah.
You got to have a talk. Then the GM and their whole family's got to be so many people would have to sign off on it.
A lot has to align in the right situation. Plus his own personal legal issues that he's dealing with, that has to check out in a certain way.
Totally unresolved, by the way.
Here's what I would say. When you go back and you look at the timeline of when Brian Flores first got hired, Coach Caldwell, Jim Caldwell, former coach of the Indianapolis Colts, Detroit Lions, was going to be the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. Then he had some personal issues, medical issues. He stepped aside and stepped down. In come Chan Gailey. Chan Gailey was there. He decided to talk to Chris Grier in evaluating Tua. Like, okay, so the offensive coordinator wanted a certain style quarterback to fit his system. You know, he liked to do all the gadgets and all the different stuff. Signs off on it. He leaves a year later.
Yeah.
So Brian Flores was essentially left holding a bag that he necessarily didn't want.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell you that, because that's just not what they're going to do. They ain't going to actually tell you the real story behind everything. And now you got Chris Grier and saying, hey, we don't see eye to eye. You got Stephen Ross siding with the general manager, which is his right. He owns the team. But now you have a coach on the outside who should get several looks because he is a promising young head coach, and there'll be several openings that are already there that he'll get looks to get another job.
He did not have the most talented roster, Brian Flores. But as I said, there was every reason for that team to quit 3 seasons ago. Every reason.
His defense was always fire.
Yep, and they never quit on him. To me, that's a huge box to check. Then the next box is, but can he win? Next season, double-digit wins. Check again. He checks And by the way, then Belichick, you're in the AFC East. He's 4-2 lifetime against Belichick. Huge. He checked a lot of boxes.
Any of Belichick's other assistants' winning percentage ever been that high against him?
No way.
No way.
I could tell you off the top. No way.
And I know that there's a former assistant here in New York, but I keep looking at the Giants situation and saying, all right, with Dave Gettleman retiring, which is a completely other different conversation, Max, that you and I can address later. I would love to have Brian Flores here in New York with the Giants.
No doubt. I want to go back
to.
They
have a head coach in New York, man.
I want to go back to the Dolphins,
depending upon
though.
who the GM is, that could change.
I totally agree with you, by the way. Totally. I want to go back to the Dolphins, though.
Yes.
Because even the Deshaun Watson thing, look, these are allegations, but they're 22 separate women making allegations. That's very serious. And it's not just a thing where, oh, yeah, but he'll be back. Let's see what happens with that. That's the first thing. And you can understand the reticence of Miami to say, wait a minute, dude, we don't need this. Brian Flores trying to win games, just wants the better quarterback.
But I don't know that. But we don't know that they said no, right? They probably said no in the end because they couldn't make it happen. They probably couldn't make it happen. It was like, nah, we can't.
Like, dude, move off this. It ain't gonna happen. Yeah,
exactly.
But so, who is the next coach of the Miami Dolphins?
You got a lot of options. I mean, you got Brian Daboll's out there. You got Doug Peterson's out there.
Man, I'll go check out Mike Zimmer. I'll check Zim out for real. They got a good defense. His offense is always solid and sound. He can bring young Kubiak with him, who's his offensive coordinator. Who else would I take a look at? Obviously, there's always the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator prospects that's out there. Eric Bieniemy, Jay mentioned, Brian Leftwich, Todd Bowles is right down the street. Todd Bowles coached in Miami before.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.